Have you ever wondered how our modern world came to be? Why do we live in cities, work in offices or factories, and travel by train or car? The answer to all these questions begins with a single, earth-shattering event: the Industrial Revolution. It wasn't a war fought with armies, but a revolution of machines, ideas, and society itself. It is the story of how humanity went from farming the land by hand to building the foundations of the world we know today. This period of intense change, starting in Britain in the mid-18th century, didn't just alter how things were made, it remade life itself. Join us as we journey back in time to uncover the sparks that ignited the modern age. Before the first factory chimney ever billowed smoke, a quieter revolution was taking place in the British countryside. This was the Agricultural Revolution. For centuries, farming had remained largely unchanged. But now, new ideas and techniques were transforming the landscape. Innovators like Jethro Tull with his seed drill and Viscount Townshend with his system of crop rotation made farming far more efficient. Fewer people could now produce much more food. At the same time, a controversial process called the Enclosure Acts consolidated small, scattered strips of land into large, privately owned farms. While this boosted agricultural output, it also pushed countless families off the land they had farmed for generations. This created a huge surplus of food, leading to a population boom. And all those people who no longer had a place in the countryside became a vast, mobile workforce, ready and desperate for a new way to earn a living. They would soon find it in the burgeoning cities. But a ready workforce wasn't enough. An industrial fire needs fuel, both literally and financially. Britain was incredibly fortunate to be sitting on vast, easily accessible deposits of coal and iron ore. Coal was the black gold of the era, the essential fuel that would power the steam engines and heat the furnaces. Iron was the material that would build the machines, the bridges, and the railways. Alongside these natural resources, Britain had developed a sophisticated and stable financial system. The Bank of England, along with a network of private banks, provided a reliable source of capital. Entrepreneurs with bold ideas could secure loans to build factories, purchase machinery, and invest in new technologies. This potent combination of people, resources, and money created the perfect storm. A fertile ground where the seeds of industrialization could not only sprout, but flourish at an unprecedented rate. The first industry to be completely transformed was textiles. For centuries, spinning wool and cotton into thread was a painstaking process done by hand in people's homes. A system known as the cottage industry. It was slow and couldn't keep up with growing demand. Then, a series of brilliant inventions shattered this old way of life. In the 1760s, James Hargreaves's spinning jenny allowed one worker to spin multiple threads at once. A few years later, Richard Arkwright's water frame used water power to create a stronger thread. But the game changer was the power loom, perfected by Edmund Cartwright in the 1780s, which mechanized the entire weaving process. These machines were too large and expensive for a cottage. They needed to be housed together in one place, powered by a central source. And so, the factory was born. Production exploded. What once took a skilled weaver days to produce could now be churned out in minutes. The price of cloth plummeted, making it accessible to the masses and creating a massive global market for British textiles. If the textile machines were the body of the Industrial Revolution, the steam engine was its heart. Early steam engines existed, but they were inefficient and mainly used for pumping water out of mines. Then, a Scottish instrument maker named James Watt was asked to repair one. He didn't just fix it, he fundamentally redesigned it. Watt's addition of a separate condenser in 1776 made the steam engine dramatically more powerful and fuel-efficient. Crucially, he also developed a way to convert the engine's simple up and down motion into a rotary motion. This was revolutionary. Suddenly, you had a reliable source of power that could be placed anywhere, not just next to a fast-flowing river. Factories could now be built in cities, right where the workers and ports were. The steam engine was adapted to power the looms and spinners of the textile mills, the bellows of the iron furnaces, and soon it would break free from the factory walls and conquer the world of transport. The age of steam had truly begun. With powerful machines and engines, the demand for stronger, more durable materials skyrocketed. The iron industry, which had been limited by its reliance on charcoal, was ready for its own revolution. Abraham Darby had earlier discovered how to smelt iron using coke, a purified form of coal, which was far more abundant. But it was Henry Cort who truly unleashed the potential of iron. In the 1780s, with his puddling process, which could produce high-quality wrought iron on a mass scale, iron became the building block of the new age. It was used for everything: machinery, bridges, buildings, and pipes. The iconic Iron Bridge in Shropshire, the first of its kind in the world, stands as a testament to this era. Later in the 19th century, Henry Bessemer developed a process to mass-produce steel, a material that was lighter, harder, and more versatile than iron. Steel would build the next generation of skyscrapers, ships, and even more extensive railway networks, literally shaping the skeleton of the modern world. The pull of the factory was irresistible. For the first time in history, the majority of people began to live not in villages, but in cities. A mass migration, unlike anything seen before, occurred as people flocked from the countryside to new industrial centres like Manchester, Liverpool, and Glasgow. These cities grew at a dizzying pace, often without any planning, sanitation, or basic infrastructure. People were crammed into poorly built tenements in sprawling slums. Streets were unpaved and filled with filth, and diseases like cholera and typhoid were rampant. The very air was thick with the smoke and soot from the countless factory chimneys. This was urbanization in its rawest, most brutal form. The picturesque rural landscape was replaced by a new, grimy, and often overwhelming urban jungle, creating a new environment and a new set of challenges for humanity. For those who found work in the factories, mines, and mills, life was often a grim struggle for survival. The work was grueling, repetitive, and incredibly dangerous. A typical workday could last 12 to 16 hours, 6 days a week, with very few breaks. The machinery was unguarded, and horrific accidents that caused maiming or death were commonplace. The air in textile mills was thick with cotton dust, leading to lung diseases, while the conditions down in the coal mines were dark, cramped, and terrifying. There were no safety regulations, no minimum wage, and no compensation for injury. Perhaps most shockingly, child labor was widespread. Children as young as 5 or 6 were employed for their small size and nimble fingers, working the same long hours as adults for a fraction of the pay. For many, the factory whistle, not the sun, now dictated the rhythm of life, a life of relentless toil in exchange for a meager existence. The Industrial Revolution didn't just build factories and cities, it also forged entirely new social structures. For centuries, society had been dominated by the landowning aristocracy. Now, a new and powerful group was on the rise, the industrial middle class. This group, made up of factory owners, inventors, bankers, and merchants, accumulated immense wealth and influence. They valued hard work, ambition, and financial success, and their tastes and values began to define the new era. Below them was the vast and growing industrial working class, or the proletariat. These were the men, women, and children who owned nothing but their labor, which they sold to the factory owners. They lived in the slums, endured the harsh working conditions, and had little to no political power. This stark division between the wealthy bourgeoisie and the impoverished proletariat created new social tensions and conflicts that would define politics for the next century and give rise to new ideologies like socialism and communism. So, what is the ultimate legacy of the Industrial Revolution? It's a story of incredible contrasts. On one hand, it unleashed a wave of innovation and economic growth that has lifted billions of people out of poverty and created the technological comforts we enjoy today. It led to advancements in medicine, transport, and communication, and ultimately raised the standard of living for many across the globe. On the other hand, its birth was accompanied by immense human suffering, social upheaval, and environmental degradation that we are still grappling with. The Industrial Revolution was the messy, chaotic, and often brutal birth of the modern world. It set humanity on a new trajectory, one of progress and peril, wealth and inequality, innovation and consequence. The echoes of those first spinning jennies and steam engines still resonate today, reminding us that the world we inhabit was forged in the fire of industry. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the past interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history.